Welcome, mortals. My name is Barbara, and I'm the Seam Reaper.
And my name is Alexandra, and I'm the Painter of Souls.
And we are the Darkchanterium. Today, we are going to be your hosts, as we're making Elthirien, the Dark Spirit. She comes from the underworld and is the dark alter ego of our client, Agnieszka. This is the first part of this commission. Next time, you'll see Elthirien's fiancé, Lord Draxmore. Let's get started.
Enjoy the video! Our today's victim is Gulia Yelps from Monster High. I made a concept sketch of our vision of the character based on the references sent by Agnieszka, and Gulia has the perfect light grey skin tone. I quickly decapitated her off screen, and now I'm removing her hair with scissors and tweezers. She will have long black nylon hair from the Doll Hair Emporium. This is my rerouting tool. It's a compass with a needle cut at an angle. After rerouting and securing the hair, I'm pouring hot glue inside her head to make it stiffer. This will make the elf ears sit more securely on the head and less likely to crack. I'm using epoxy sculpt for the ears extensions. I want them to peek through the hair, so I chose the long and spiky design. I think sculpting an ear is pretty simple when you're doing only one ear. The real challenge is when you have to make the other one exactly the same. I somehow managed to do this by constantly checking the second ear with the first one. And after curing, they look like this. It was the easiest color match in my life because the clay was in very similar shade as the skin, just darker. I painted the ears with acrylic paint and then added shading and highlights with pastels and watercolor pencils. I'm starting the face with chalk pastels on her cheeks and lips. I know she's supposed to be an undead creature from the underworld, but her cheeks need some life, just a little bit. I'm making the sketch with watercolor pencils, marking where I want all the features to be. Then I'm using my secret technique to paint her brows. It's so secret that the shot is out of focus. Then the secret technique ended, and I'm drawing details like corners of her lips and the upper eyelid crease with black pencil. I'm also coloring the blacks of the eyes. Doing this doll's face up, I had to be very focused on the blending part, because her makeup is mostly black and grey, and in my opinion, black is a tricky color to blend. I always start with the color of the skin, in this case, light grey. You can achieve a super smooth look by adding darker shades on top of a lighter pastel. It makes blending so much easier, and I'm using this trick on every layer of MSC. I'm slowly building color in other areas as well, adding more layers of black to the eyes and eyebrows and drawing highlights with white pencil. Then I'm switching to acrylic paint, especially for white details and to brighten the irises. I'm drawing long bottom lashes for a seductive look. I really like how these powders from Arteza worked on Tritannus and Ina, so I'm going to play a bit with the colors of her skin by adding some blue and peach mica powders. The effect is more visible in real life than on camera, but I hope you will see the difference on the finished face. The last detail is the little dot in the pupil, and the face-up is finished. For blushing the body, I'm using the same pastels and Perlix powders as for the face. I'm also adding a black fade on her hands and feet for a more dramatic and fantasy look. I really like this feature on fantasy characters. A lot of our dolls have darker hands. Stormy, Dark Bloom, Nerine, Prima, Irene, Alcio, and Octavia. I think it's an interesting detail and it creates a magical look.
Let's make some clothes. I'm starting by modifying a pattern from Requiem Art's design to make a pencil skirt with a wrap feature in the front. I mirrored the front piece and then cut it at an angle to get my new front piece. I cut 2 of those front pieces and put them one on top of the other. Before I can add the back pieces, I need to hem one of the front pieces, otherwise I wouldn't be able to hem it later. I'm just going to hem a few centimeters of the hem though, so we can get a clean finish later. Now I can add the back pieces right sides together and sew the side seams. I can now finish the hems as well. I hem one edge of the waistband first, and then attach it right sides together to the raw edge of the skirt. I top stitched it down for a cleaner look. The last seam is the back seam, which doesn't go all the way to the top. The remaining raw edges are folded over and stitched, and a closure can be added. I opted out for a small plastic snap closure for this one. Let's check the fit. The next part of the outfit is an overlay skirt made out of a mesh fabric. Yes, this is the same staining mesh from the Crush video. But I'm not anticipating any staining this time, as Monster High dolls usually don't have that problem. At first, I thought I'd be able to freehand a circle, but I quickly cut out a template instead. My fabric is folded up twice, so I only need to cut a quarter out. The easiest way to do this is with a rotary cutter and a mat. I cut a slit down the middle of the circle to create an opening, and then I figured there was a bit too much fabric, so I cut a quarter out. I added a slim ribbon to act as a waistband and a way to tie the overskirt to the body. I despise hand sewing, but it was necessary as the ribbon was very narrow. In my mind, the skirt would be open in the front where the ribbon would overlap and then tied in the back, but you'll see that Alex had a better idea on how to style this garment. To cover her chest, I decided to go with my sports bra pattern, which I've used a couple of times before. It's really simple and I'm going to modify it a bit. I'm skipping the straps and adding a V cutout in the front. I cut slits in the pattern to make marking out darts on the fabric a little bit easier. I sewn the darts in first and folded the top in half to make the cutout at the top. I made a small slit towards the bottom to make hemming this edge easier. Speaking of hemming, I used some glue first to tack the edges down. I did that along the top and bottom edge first, then the sides. After the glue dried, I secured the hem by going around the whole top with a straight stitch. I'm going to add a closure similar to the one Crush's bodysuit had. I'm adding 2 seed beads on one edge of the top to act as buttons. The needle was having a hard time passing through the fabric for some reason, so I just helped myself with a pair of pliers. On the other side of the top, I added 2 loops made out of this elastic thread. Now you can see how the loops stretch over the bead to create a closure. Very neat. I had planned to make a chain necklace thing for this doll, but I was having a really hard time making even one loop with the findings that I purchased. Nothing fit together and it was honestly just pissing me off. I decided to drop this idea and try a more elven style of jewelry, so I took some silver wire and a bead and started to play with it. I was just wrapping it in various loops, adding more wire where necessary, and it turned out kinda nice, so I decided to stick with that concept.
Our spirits always have some iridescent fantasy element to the design. Prima has fins on legs and head, and Iris has dragonfly wings. I thought wings are the best option for this doll too, since Elthirien has a kind of opposite theme to Iris, which is the spirit of light, and also is the safest option because the new owner can always take off the wings. I made them from a wire and iridescent vinyl melted with a hair straightener. Then I connected the right and left part with hot glue. The wings are going to be magnetic, and we need a hole in the doll's back. I'm a lazy person, and I don't like to clean all the dusty mess that a Dremel tool makes when piercing through plastic. So to make the hole for a magnet, I'm using a lino cut tool. I'm stuffing the doll with aluminum foil so the magnet can lay on something. Then I'm attaching the magnet to the back and then attaching the wings to the other magnet. I don't trust hot glue, so to secure the wings I'm covering the center part with a thin layer of epoxy sculpt. Later I painted it blue. She already has her hair pretty much straight, but after doing the face they got a bit wavy in some random places, so I'm quickly fixing them with a hair straightener. Then I'm giving them a little trim. At the beginning, I poured hot glue into the head to stiffen it, and I made a mistake with not putting the head on the body before the face-up. I cut the neck pack and warmed the head with a hairdryer, so I managed to put it back on without any cracks, but I was really worried about the face-up. Next, let's customize these with Anna's shoes to fit the dark aesthetic. I painted them black and then dry brushed with silver paint to enhance the web-like details. Then I was trying to add some iridescent pieces, but superglue failed me hard. I glued everything with hot glue instead. I'll use this air drying clay for the accessories. It's the first time I'm working with silk clay, and I have to say that it's super easy to work with, but doesn't hold small details well. I made a moon-like button and a bird skull. This is going to be a hair decoration. She had something similar on the reference drawings. I wanted her to have more wire jewelry, so I added it to the hairpin. I also made 2 bracelets, one for the hand and one for the leg. She gives me a chaotic vibe, so I placed them asymmetrically. I added them after making the first photo shoot, so they only appear in some photos.
This is how she turned out. We're really enjoying the Spirit series lately, and a dark theme was a perfect addition right after her exact opposite, the Spirit of Light.
If Mr. Peanut Butter and Todd can have Halloween in January, then Enchanterium can have Halloween in March, right? We can't wait to show you Elthirien's partner in our next video. For a long time I wanted to try the light painting technique, and I finally had the perfect dolls to do it. You'll see more of this photoshoot in our next video.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram for some sneak peeks and subscribe for future videos. Have an enchanted day, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, mortals.
Zwiążesz mnie tą miarką?
Nagram cię i zmienię światło.
A, zapomniałam powiedzieć, że to mój ulubiony album.